around a little bit, but this is one I am much more interested in as Jankos locks in the Kha'Zix.
That's not a champion I have seen at all, really, this split. An incredible assassin, of course, can do a huge amount of work when you get him ahead, but when he falls behind is very difficult to have an impact on.
Yeah, a lot of these lethality junglers are really hard to play on stage, it seems like. Picks that can do so well in solo queue, but not necessarily have that same punch in terms of the 5v5, where on a professional stage you have less opportunities to find these solo picks. But it is worth noting that on patch 9.15, the base damage on his Q went up 10 damage per level, so that's a meaningful buff here for Kha'Zix, especially in terms of that early jungle clear.
It's one of those changes where I would bring it up to you and I'd say, this doesn't look like much, and you say that's probably a 2% change in high elo, gives you that little bit of a buff.
If I was playtesting, I would say that's probably like a 1 to 1.25%
okay, I was very close.
in win
I was
rate.
very close. I guesstimated the number. Let's have a look at how the second phase of bans is coming about. You've got the Morgana removed, Kennen taken away by G2, and the Rakan. So support pool really pinched here for G2.
Yeah, they're trying to remove these options into the Kaisa Alistar. Kaisa Alistar was a duo we saw rise to a lot of prominence back in last summer split, where with the CC from Alistar can be very powerful for applying those plasma stacks alongside the Kaisa. And at level 6, that all-in threat is very, very real, especially into the likes of Lucian, who's a little bit lower in terms of overall range, so you can find that engage pretty easily with the Alistar.
Now, we did see a Kha'Zix, just coming back to that pick, played earlier on today in the LCK by Tarzan IV Gined. They did end up winning that game, but obviously they went 0-18 across the course of the split, so perhaps not the best.
Setting records every day.
Yeah.
It's a Jin Air we know and love.
Oh, Griffin, sorry, not Jin Air. Yeah, that's my mistake. I should have remembered that Tarzan
You
plays
lied
with Griffin.
to me.
They won that game, did very well. Yeah, I don't know why I thought Tarzan was on Jin Air. Now, Jarvan picked up here for Schalke. That's likely to be their jungle pick, pushing the Sylas somewhere else. And now Poppy locked in for G2.
I think this might be Poppy's support here for Mickey. Up against the Alistar, you can use the Steadfast Presence to immediately cancel out the Headbutt Pulverize. It's similar, I guess, in terms of the Morgana pick, where you can cancel out that ability as Mickey gives the hovers. There is a play bard sign up in the crowd here, but don't think that's going to be the choice today.
We'll see. We'll see. Okay, if this Elies gets locked in, which it will.
All right.
Kha'Zix top. They're taking after Fnatic. They saw an assassin Rengar in the top lane. They say, okay, Kha'Zix is the next evolution of that.
See,
he wins the hunt.
This is where I'm wondering, is it even Elies in the jungle? Because I don't really know. We've seen support Elies played, you know?
Yeah. So my expectation is Kha'Zix top, Elies jungle, put Jankos back on the thing he made his name on as the first blood king. Now, Mordekaiser was picked for Odoamne, we expect in the top lane. He has yet to play that this split, and we'll see how effective he can be on it. Could of course go mid, but we don't really see Mord mid that much.
Yeah, I think Mord top lane is usually where we do see him, and really I think we've been seeing the priority on Mord drop. When it first came into the league, really not that much.
Paper, scissors,
they're playing for Kha'Zix. No, they're playing for Kha'Zix for sure.
Okay, who's gonna win? A Wunder one. Wunder one, they have to switch.
He had paper.
Yeah, Wunder had paper.
Okay. All right.
There we go. There is actually, I've read studies on how to win at rock, paper, scissors. So next time they do that, I'm going to give them some coaching beforehand.
Is there like a TLDR for this or something?
TLDR is if you're playing against a man, 90% of the time they'll throw rock first, so you should always start off with paper. They'll then switch, trying to anticipate you switch. They're trying to beat the thing that just beat them, so then they switch to paper. They switch to
okay, I hate your science officially.
It's really cool.
Let's forget the science.
Cool. If you're against a man, always start with paper, then switch to rock, because you'll win rock, paper, scissors 10 times out of 10. But this game is slightly more complicated than that as we jump onto Summoner's Rift. Ender, okay, I think I broke you a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about the stakes of this game before we get in. Schalke locked in 4th. It means they do avoid being picked by whoever ends up 3rd in our first round of the playoffs. G2 looking to lock in that first spot with a win today. The last time we saw Kha'Zix top was 2016 in the LPL. Wunder adding to the 7 wonders of the LEC here with the assassin in the top lane. See how effective he can be on it into a mordekaiser coming out from Odoamne.
See, this is usually the point of the game where I'd be like, you know, new champion, let's break it down. How does it work in the soul lane? I'm gonna be honest here, I'm drawing some blanks on the Kha'Zix.
We'll learn together. You know what we could talk about? How these team comps are likely to play the game. What's the expectation? Because I look at G2 and I think, burst damage, burst damage, burst damage, burst damage, some CC. Are they just looking for these full-on wombos?
Well, I think if you see the side of G2, you notice like 3 assassins if you include the full AP Elies. So playing for PerkZ is probably going to be very powerful for them. Skirmishes also, I'd assume, quite strong on their side. Now, it is a little bit peculiar because I think both teams really want to play for the bottom lanes, especially. You know, once level 6 comes around, I think Schalke can do a lot of good things around that area of the map, especially with the Jarvan in the jungle as well. So to me, the order in sort of the playbook of this game is going to be control mid lane first, so you can have that first rotation to make a level 6 bot lane play.
Okay, so control in mid, looking towards level 6 down towards the bottom side. Lane matchups may be a little bit tentative as we work out exactly how they're going to play out as the game develops. Trick started at his red, Jankos started at his blue.
Yeah, and G2 did also put a ward on top of Trick's red buff, so they saw him pathing down outside of the red buff. Will be interesting to see what they do with that information, because right now it seems, you know, the standard path for Jarvan is either go like buff into enemy buff, or maybe go for those single target camps around his blue buff side of the jungle. So looking to finish off the wolves, the blue buff, the gromp for that level 3, and then try to fight in the river around your strong lanes for Scuttlecrab. That's usually where Jarvan can be at his highest potential.
See how effective he is in those skirmishes as they develop. In the bottom lane, expect PerkZ to have just a little bit of harass early on. It's quite easy as the Lucian just to dash forward, land some of those light slinger passive procs, and then try and trade in. But Wunder already losing out in the top lane. Odoamne just pushing him back. It's pretty easy. Down in the bottom lane though, upset, ignited, has to flash away, and that's what we were talking about. Mickey with the lockdown makes it very hard for Kaisa to escape. Yeah,
really good there on the Poppy as soon as you hit level 2 and get access to the jump forward of the heroic charge. We actually saw Mickey leveling both his E and his W there to try and, you know, deny any sort of escape and get that extra movement speed. That was a big buff on the Poppy to try and close the gap and slam your target with the CC into the wall.
So Jankos, I believe, was just spotted out on the ward. He's looking towards that bot lane play that you were expecting. And Upset and IgNar realize it. They back away, but Mickey could look for the chase here. Can't quite get the body block on IgNar into the wall, and it means that G2 will just back away and look for a plate. Yeah,
G2 might be able to pick that one up here. IgNar trying to trade to deny the demolish turret, or the demolish on towards the tower. And if you notice Trick's path, he went for an early reset after clearing his bot side jungle and ran immediately down towards this bottom lane. So now he wants to fight in the river because Abbedagge can move and collapse on Jankos.
Jankos lands the smite. Trick unable to land EQ flash, and Jankos will get up with the repel, escape down towards the bottom side of the map. And I think that's kind of, it's something we've seen from Trick a little bit in the last couple of weeks, are these just slight mechanical misplays, especially early on.
Yeah, and he just seems very anxious to make something happen. You know, I remember his Elies game in particular last week where he was throwing out cocoons when you can just really run at targets and close the gap before you chuck that out. Here it's an early flash to try and extend the EQ combo. So now he finds Jankos here.
Jankos, steps forward, lands the cocoon straight onto Upset, sinking the fangs, and the damage comes down onto Upset, but here is Trick and the teleport coming out from Schalke. They're looking to re-engage as Jankos ticks away. The ignite goes up, but he must go down. Abbedagge trying to catch out PerkZ. The chase is still on Trick. No flash on him, and PerkZ will flash away. Good fight from Schalke.
Yeah, great response there from Abbedagge, especially to teleport down in towards that bottom lane. Notice Caps had TP, Wunder had TP. They could have responded, but they chose to let Jankos die instead.
And the thing we now have to watch is how much does that cost Abbedagge in the mid lane. He's teleported away from his lane. He's 11 CS behind. 2 waves have just crashed into his tower. How much does Abbedagge lose, and what can Caps do with that advantage?
Yeah, because Abbedagge didn't even get an assist off the play. Really nicely done mechanically there from Jankos to flash over the CC from the Alistar and land the stun. Unfortunately, the damage could not follow. PerkZ was unwilling to commit half the TP is top.
Odoamne caught out, trying to put the damage down onto Jankos, but Wunder's going to jump forward. Odo flashes away, but eventually Jankos will find his prey. First kill of the game for G2.
Yep, Jankos quicker back onto the map after the death right there. Pass immediately into top lane while Trick had a delayed reset after clearing, I believe, his Gromp cap down bot side, so unable to be there for the response play. Really nicely done by Jankos to get himself back into the game, because it looked like things might have gotten a little bit hairy for G2 down bottom side, especially because we had put such a focus on that 2v2 down bottom lane. Now that there's no flashes on anyone there, seems like teams are going to be looking down. There's both junglers path down bot lane. Around 6 minutes, 6:30 is when we could be looking for repeat ganks.
But even though Upset got the early kill and was able to go back and get a pickaxe, look at that CS differential as well. 15 to 17 CS is kind of where it's hanging around right now. And it means that although Schalke have been able to react well to some of these Jankos ganks, actually the majority of the lead is sitting in G2's pocket, 600 gold ahead right now.
Yeah, just based off those CS leads. Now, we talked about mid lane control. You saw a little bit of a move from Caps there, considering running down towards bottom lane because they do have that control ward inside the river. So it's something that Schalke are going to have to be very vigilant of, especially because looking at Abbedagge right now, very low on mana in the mid lane. He's going to get continually pushed in, and now he doesn't have the TP. The only TP on the map that's not in the bottom lane is going to be Caps. So first rotation should always come out of G2.
You see it immediately on your screens as Ender calls it. Caps has been spotted on a control ward, but he has the ultimate. Perfect execution available for him. No upset, no flash on upset right now. And Schalke, once again very respectful, are going to back away. Abbedagge coming around the corner here as Caps and Jankos realized that there was a ward spotting him out all along. Abbedagge steals away the ultimate.
He has no mana.
Caps jumps in, he has no mana, you say. Abbedagge is going to try and jump around, but Caps is there for the party, one down. And as you said, Abbedagge took a fight without any mana.
I just don't know what he's doing right there, trying to force that fight. Thought that IgNar could maybe find a flank, but really overambitious there. One more time, Schalke just playing a little bit too forward, trying to force that play, and they're going to lose a Drake for it.
And it's some of the problems we've seen with Schalke, and the reason perhaps their name isn't in that Fnatic Splice G2 bracket are these mechanical misplays, these decision-making misplays that can really cost them against higher level teams.
Yeah, it's just a disaster for them now. Really interesting play by the G2 bottom lane right there, because a lot of times we see when you push out the enemy bot lane entirely, you look to take turret plates. Instead, G2 always want to play on the offensive, so by taking turret plates, you just slow down your ability to do anything on the map. You give Schalke the time to make a move while you have to go for your delayed reset. So instead, they had Mykix zone while PerkZ reset, so now PerkZ can come back onto the map with items.
IgNar going in with a Hex Flash, Trick looking for this Mountain Dragon, secures it. Jankos down low, Caps in this, but he doesn't have the perfect execution, doesn't have the ult. Jankos already down, and now Caps is running for the win, still has his flash, PerkZ going to join it, but he's only level 5, Abscon doesn't quite connect. Schalke find the fight they were looking for in the river.
Yep, they get the Drake as well, and as I say at G2, instead of playing how they usually do, they're like, we can sneak the Drake on top of this. Had they wanted to commit to that Drake, I think you have to keep PerkZ down the bottom lane.
Totally agree with you there. Wunder actually having quite a hard time in this top lane on the Kha'Zix.
Who would have thought?
We've learned how that lane goes, and the answer is Odoamne wins it early on the Mordekaiser. About a 15 CS lead for him. Let's have another look at this, because as you said, it was G2 who started up this dragon.
Yep, IgNar just channeling a Hex Flash right there to zone away, gets a double knockback. I think early smite there, Jankos wasn't able to quite catch that, but it got down very, very low right there before Schalke were ultimately able to pick it up. And even though PerkZ does enter at the end, the health bars of Schalke are just way too tanky.
Perp spots the culling, but an Alistar is a very easy meat shield for your AD carry, and IgNar will just stand in the way. Caps continuing to trade here onto Abbedagge in the mid lane, and you always, whenever you watch a G2 game, or at least whenever I do, I'm always waiting for the next explosion. I'm always waiting for the next big, 4v4 skirmish or a great pick or a great mechanical outplay from them. Schalke have done an okay job at finding avenues to match them, but they're still falling behind. You look at it, it's still a 600 gold lead for G2, even though Schalke got the early Mountain Drake and are even on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I don't think the early game is going all too well for Schalke right now. Yes, they responded, but ultimately Caps is a lot of damage.
He's going to jump back in, trying to get the damage down to Abbedagge, who gets a great flash away. Caps, whew, just out of turret range.
Abbedagge was able to get the heal off his W as Caps was in animation for that second ult charge that does so much execute damage. So the heal coming through was absolutely clutch, not just to get the HP back, but to actually reduce the damage he was going to take from Akali.
And he's now gone the Merc Treads as well into that Akali matchup, just trying to be as tanky as possible while still getting some damage under his belt. Double pickaxe for Upset here, building up towards that Icathian Rain upgrade as soon as possible. And although he has fallen behind, Schalke now looking for the play down bot. Scryer's Bloom at the perfect moment will mean that PerkZ is aware IgNar's coming in. He flashes forward, gets the lockup, and PerkZ still has his flash, but he is done for. Upset will be gifted the kill And that's 3 on the board for Schalke.
Yep, like the move there from IgNar. He could have held his flash and just walked to close the gap, but that gives PerkZ the ability to reactively flash by going flash W almost instantaneously there on the Alistar. PerkZ has a very short window where he can actually respond, so they get the quick kill and a plate for upset.
And some gold being funneled into upset now. He's about 600 ahead of his lane counterpart. Top wave is pretty even across the board. Abbedagge trying to trade. Here is Mykix coming in. Tricks there as well. Jankos off towards the top side. Could look for a little bit of a fight, but he was spotted out on a ward, and so we'll just sweep that one away. In early doors, Schalke holding their own, have got themselves just that slight gold lead. I do want to I wonder a little bit how this game develops and how things progress from here, because it's quite hard to tell exactly which team has the advantage as we get towards mid and late game.
I think it's much more clear to tell you how Schalke want to play out their composition. You know, they have strong engage tools, the Jarvan, the Alistar, of course, whereas G2, we already mentioned, playing maybe a little bit more towards picks. Now, as for ganking a post-level 6 Mordekaiser, not the easiest thing, because he can turn any 2v1 into a 1v1 inside the Death Realm, and I really don't feel like a Kha'Zix beats him in that 1v1. Yes, your target's going to be isolated, but that could get rough. Now, Trick on the side.
IgNar spent a lot of time around mid just trying to help out Abbedagge down towards the bottom side. Whoa! Okay, Upset's already dead, and now PerkZ just going to turn straight on towards Trick, who has his flash, can get away if he needs to. IgNar has the flank positioning here on the Alistar, but I don't think they have the damage to take down PerkZ or Mykix.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a real bold play. Abbedagge is moving as well. There's a TP on Wunder to try and respond.
PerkZ has the flash. Trick's going to lock him up in the Cataclysm. Abbedagge down on his way. PerkZ trying to trade onto Trick. Gets a lot of damage down. The Lightslinger doing a huge amount. He's going to take down Trick. PerkZ takes it! Mykix will fall, and now IgNar and Abbedagge are there to revenge their jungler. In the end, PerkZ says, okay, I'll put up my hands and sacrifice myself to the tower, but not before making the 1v1 outplay.
Yeah, Schalke win for sure, but those were some slick moves out of PerkZ right there to get that kill. Now, Jankos is able to respond on the other side of the map. He's soloing out the Rift Herald at the moment. Can smite secure this one as Odo going to be forced to walk away. There's not a whole lot that G2 can do against Odoamne, as we already mentioned, so after picking up this Herald, I think they should again look to focus.
IgNar's been everywhere on the map. Caps locked up, but underneath the tower is a little bit dangerous to dive in. It still has that ultimate to catch you out in the micro stun.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we talk about Schalke, it's always Trick and IgNar finding these ganks. Well, they have 5 kills so far. Trick has participated in 5, IgNar has participated in 5, so very clearly the driving force in Schalke's early game.
And I want to I don't want to excuse myself for a slight G2 bias when I look at games like this, because the expectation is when you get into G2 games that from the 15 to 20 minute mark, they just accelerate the game away from their opponents. I want to give the credit to Schalke here, who've been able to keep up with G2 in the early game, and who've been able to make a lot of these plays work. So coming into this next portion of the game, the usual expectation has to be Schalke will get demolished by G2. However, Schalke are showing us so far this game that they're able to hold on.
Sure, I think we also have to mention the elephant in the room that is Kha'Zix in the top lane, and how we don't think that's going to be the best scaling pick necessarily, as once again, IgNar finds his way into the mid lane, but pretty hard to lock down this Akali. We'll just use that strat to escape. Notice Jankos and Mykix both on the way as well to try and back him up, but Schalke have controlled this bottom side of the map, and I think that's very, very important for them, because early on we saw them getting demolished in CS. Yes, CS lead still in favor of PerkZ over Upset, but the support that Trick has put into maintaining vision dominance through this bottom lane river has made it so that G2 can't make response plays by moving down Caps or Jankos.
There's only about a 200 gold difference between the two AD carries right now. Nothing too monumental. In the mid lane, it's a bit more of an advantage for Caps. He's 700 gold ahead, building up toward that Hextech Gunblade. And now G2 showing where their focus lies. Rift Herald used down towards the bottom side. Mykix, PerkZ, and Jankos here. That tower will fall with about a charge and a couple of autos. Here comes the charge. Tower goes down. IgNar there, jumping onto Jankos, who's going to use the repel. Hammer shot will knock him back. And Jankos survives. Good defensive play there by Mykix.
Yeah, Odoamne got the first reset there. Both top laners are sitting on about 2,600 gold, so if there was going to be a TP, would have come through very quickly. That's why we saw both top laners resetting at the same time that this Herald was being summoned down bottom lane. Looks like Wunder decided to go for Moby Boots and a Duskblade, so he's going to be roaming around the map. He's no longer a side lane champion, I don't think. If he'd wanted to side lane, he would have gone Tiamat.
I've worked it out.
Okay, hit me.
What was the last champion that Wunder
IgNar
built?
just ulted, but...
It's fine. What was the last champion that Wunder built? I'm going to wait for this fight to happen. Abbedagge steals away the Void Assault from Wunder. Manages to escape. Okay. Last AD Assassin, Wunder played in the top lane that usually isn't played in the top lane. Pyke. He's playing Pyke again. That's basically what it is. He's like, I can't play Pyke in the side lane anymore, don't do enough damage. So now, what's the Pyke replacement? It's Kha'Zix. You have a lot of damage if you isolate a target, and you can jump around a lot.
Yeah, Kha'Zix is like Pyke, except he doesn't have any hard CC, he doesn't have a gold share mechanic, you know, he doesn't have a stealth on a base ability.
Yeah, so what you're telling me, they're basically the same champion.
Yeah.
Glad we agree on that front.
No.
First items coming out across the board here. Duskblade on Wunder, Gunblade on Caps, and Essence Reaver down towards PerkZ in the bottom lane. Elies finished on Odoamne, and a Proto Belt for Abbedagge after getting those Mercury Treads early. We'll see if Caps decides to do anything too aggressive here on Abbedagge. Just expect him to, 5-point strike, get a little bit of damage down, get some chip out, and then back away.
Yeah, basically the way side lanes are going to work is that I think Caps should win pretty much any matchup he's in, whereas Wunder probably won't. So expect G2 to play around Caps's where they put pressure on the map. It should be around him. If they don't have pressure around him, he has to back up. He can't actually extend forward in these lanes. And ultimately, the way these two comps play out, G2 is going to be about creating numbers advantages because, let's face it, their team fight I really don't think is that strong, but their ability to gap close and find picks onto you is one of their strong suits. Whereas on the side of Schalke, they have very clear engage windows, so they can try to find any sort of team fight, especially once I think Kaisa gets 3 items. You can go for any fight you want.
Oh, Mickey! Those reactions were absolutely beautiful.
There was a ward there.
Yeah, there was a ward, but still. Abbedagge trying to trade onto Caps here. Teleport's coming out as Abbedagge gets some damage down. Both perfect executions used. Abbedagge flashes away, thinking perhaps that Caps was still in the twilight zone. Now here comes Trick. Upset jumping forward. Wunder caught out, knocked up. Trick once again misses the EQ flash, but Wunder will. Oh, in the end, Mickey doesn't quite land the hammer shot from Caps. Has been ignited. He's ticking away. That's 2 for Schalke. They found the fight they want. PerkZ and Jankos pushing mid, but Schalke will look to open up this bot tier 1.
Schalke going to continue to try and find these types of fights, getting the wide flank there with both Trick and IgNar coming in on a pretty far out angle. Going to trade towers in the end here, but I think, when all is said and done, Schalke are going to continue to be very happy with these plays, especially burning a flash on Caps. Now this side lane champion is much more exploitable.
And keeping that gold as close as possible. We'll look at this once again. Couple of misplays in it, but very strong trading.
Yeah, so Abbedagge opts into this fight knowing he probably loses, but he has Trick and IgNar with mid lane control walking down first. They also call in the teleport there from Odoamne, where Wunder isn't quite going to be able to enter into this fight. That play from IgNar so close as both players go for the juke read out there. Unfortunately, Caps does get ignited, so we'll drop in the end.
That's the best feeling as a support when you swag ignite a mid laner who's.
And then they come running back like, I need a life steal.
I need some life steal. No, not for you today. Abbedagge doesn't quite land the abduct onto Jankos. PerkZ pushing in top. The rest of Schalke have grouped around mid as Wunder is down towards the bottom lane. It's a 2-2-1 from G2 right now, and kind of a 1-3-1 most of the time from Schalke.
Yeah, so the next thing we're looking at is the Drake spawning in 20 seconds. Schalke really want this because with 2 Mountain Drakes and a Kaisa, this comp will love to group around objectives. They can force or just sort of pull G2 into them, into a fight, even around a neutral monster. I think they have the front line to be able to soak that up, and with an Ocean Drake 2, tank it up pretty easily. So if they don't commit all the resources down there, I'd be very surprised. But right now, Abbedagge without a TP is on the top side of the map, so maybe they're playing more for the money of this tower than trying to opt into the 5v5.
I mean, they have already got 2 dragons themselves with a mountain and the ocean. They want to just keep that gold ticking over as much as possible for the moment. So giving Abbedagge some solo gold on that tower will definitely help him out. Cap's going to get behind Odoamne here.
Yeah, I actually think the biggest reason why they didn't fight there was upset. He wanted to get his reset off to finish off this Ginsu's Rage Blade. They didn't want to fight on an item mismatch, perhaps, without finishing that off as Odo
goes straight into the death realm with Wunder's going to keep him locked in place. The dragon goes down to
You
G2.
can't run!
Odo just takes him. You can't run. You can't hide. Odo escapes. Cap's jumping in, but IgNar's here in time. Odo's going to survive. You can see IgNar trying to jump in, but Mickey with a steadfast presence will stop him in his tracks. The big whirlwind comes out from IgNar. Death's Grasp pulls him back, and now Schalke find the fight they want. Cataclysm used on Mickey. He immediately flashes away. Abbedagge still pushing in the side lane, and Upset is jumping forward. He wants a little piece of this action. Kiva's verdict will knock Schalke away, but meanwhile, Abbedagge is going to get a second tower from this push.
Yeah, it's a 4v5 that Schalke just smashed right there. Odoamne starting it off using the Death Realm. You can't escape from this man. He locks down Wunder. There's no way that this Kha'Zix can actually fight them inside of that circle. So, you see one more time again, against any other champion, great setup here from G2. Against Mordekaiser, you're just sentencing your top laner to death, and you don't actually have enough damage to kill him before the rest of Schalke can come here and react.
Yeah, and although you can stop IgNar getting the all-in engages, as soon as Trick gets around this, it's so easy. Great heal there from Upset to keep IgNar alive. You can see Mickey has to burn his flash at the end of it all. And we asked the question at the start of the game, can Schalke prove to us that they are, perhaps the top 3 team, a team that could challenge Fnatic and Spice? After about 10 minutes, I said, this is why they don't look like a top 3 team, and now they're showing us that they can come back. They can fight back in some of these games and actually challenge teams like G2.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, people are always going to look at this Kha'Zix pick in the
100%.
top lane, the compositions to discredit Schalke a little bit here, but you can't deny that they have been playing quite well, especially Trick and IgNar finding all of these plays. PerkZ, even with the Kha'Zix, always wants to take these trades. He finished off the Infinity Edge next to that Essence Reaver, so doing a whole lot of damage on the Lucian, maximizing his passive because he has no attack speed. Okay, he has a dagger, but not a whole lot of attack speed at the moment. It's all about, cycling through those abilities and pumping out the auto resets.
We do often see AD carries go for something like a rapid fire cannon second to get a little bit of that attack speed, get a bit more safety as well with the long range attacks, but as you say, using that light slinger passive as much as he can to its fullest effect. And I think that kind of exemplifies G2 as a team, limit testing, pushing as far as you can, getting as much out of your champion as you can.
Can we win with Garen? Can we win with Soraka? Can we win with Kha'Zix?
So far, only one of those is true. They won with Annie top as well, though, so we'll give them 2 out of 4. 2 out of 4 so far. Of course, this game yet to be over, and this is usually the portion of the match when G2 start to accelerate from the 20 to 25 minute mark. But here, Schalke are pinning them back, keeping them on the defensive a lot of the time.
I think itemization-wise, G2 are actually decently happy at the moment, especially if you look at Jankos and Caps both finishing off the Sork Shoes and the Oblivion Orb, so a lot of flat pen. Flat magic pen at the moment when there's not MR really being built up. Some Merc treads on the other side, but not enough to discount the damage coming through from these two players. But still, as soon as it becomes a vision game that Schalke are winning in, G2 have no chance to make a move because you're going to be walking over wards. You can't find the flanks or can't find the picks with champions like Kha'Zix.
You can pick out IgNar though if he goes in like this. The blast gun was there for him for a moment, but he jumped straight past it. PerkZ using the culling on upset off towards the top side.
That's a TP flank!
All the way behind them. Abbedagge needs to realize this quickly because now he's going to join the fight as well. Deathram used. Odoamne is going to stay in it for the moment, but upset is nowhere near this fight, and now it's a 5v4 in favor of G2. Mickey caught out. Trick goes forward, pops a cataclysm, and already they'll take down Mickey. 4v4 erupts as upset now joins the fight. And they can set up towards this Baron if they want, but Caps is still alive, still has the ultimate. Can look for something. We'll see perhaps if Wunder can have an impact in this. There we go! Jumps in, upset onto the back line, and PerkZ is down! Caps ignited, ticking down is 2, in 3, make it 4! Schalke find a perfect fight, and Wunder can do nothing but leap away.
Yeah, Schalke can ignore Wunder now, move straight in towards the Baron. They cleaned up 4. They did lose upset, but still should have enough damage. There won't be teleports able to come in for the side of G2. That could just be it now for Schalke, because with the composition like this, you can absolutely just run down and crush through towers.
Schalke in such a strong spot here. 3 items complete on upset. They found the fight they were looking for. You said it, Ender. Team fights for Schalke, picks for G2. G2 have not found enough picks this game, and now Mickey steps straight into the jaws of death. Death's grasp will pull him straight back. And Schalke just willingly accept another kill on the board.
Yeah, feels bad, man, for Mickey right there. Walks into the river, still sees them hanging around. The fight started off rough for him, too, because I think it was Odoamne that singled him out in the death realm, and even though Mickey knocked him away, Mickey just couldn't run out of the circle, so the rest of the team was able to collapse onto him, make sure he couldn't escape. We're catching this replay here, as we mentioned. Mickey trying to knock Odo out of the realm, but he's like, no, can't go outside of that circle. Then Mickey gets stuck on this wall right here, sitting inside the bush, so by the time he pops out, Trick is already on top of him and can pick up the easy kill. But the biggest thing is actually IgNar coming forward here on towards PerkZ. So remember, low range AD carry, upset can also close the gaps. The flash engage there from IgNar is so clean. The Acathian Rain follows a defensive PerkZ there to finish off that kill, and then Mickey not having his best day here.
Yeah, that's just a little bit weird for Mickey. Like, with the Baron down, it seems a little bit odd to go forward into that position. Maybe thinking one person is back by themselves, you can catch him out, but
he's gonna solo kill him with support Poppy, no problem.
I've seen Mickey do stranger things, I'll be honest. Now, Schalke using that 4-man squad to push down here. Wunder is up towards the top side of the fight as he looks for a catch.
Here's the thing though, G2's comp has virtually no wave clear. They have a culling, and their culling is sitting in top lane at the moment. So by the time the next wave comes in here, I think it's very difficult for G2 to do much of anything. Granted, they can try to throw out cocoons and stuff, and there's only one range champion on the side of Schalke, but I think Schalke are much better equipped in the coming sieges. Now look at this. So IgNar rather, is sitting inside the G2 jungle right now in case G2 were looking to contest. IgNar has a beautiful flank.
Is he going to knock Mickey?
Oh, he wants it.
Here we go. Mickey clearing out the ward.
Knock him over the wall.
Back, not quite over the wall, but IgNar might look for the blast cone here. Could land the knock-up, just gets the stun. Abbedagge getting in with the chase. Mickey able to use the blast cone to get over the wall. And Schalke will get their second Mountain Drake of the game and back away. Yeah,
I don't think Trick had his EQ ready to use. He was using those spells on the Drake. Otherwise, he would have immediately jumped on over the wall. Upset, maybe not in range for his ultimate either. Right there. Still, the ideas are strong from Schalke. And this is where I think a player like IgNar is very creative in how he tries to extend leads. Just watch how he positions. It's very rarely sitting on top of his AD carry. He is much more about finding flanks and finding roams to try and get the fight started. Because let's face it, running straight at someone with Alistar, it's pretty hard to start a fight. But if you can come in at an angle, there's almost nothing they can do.
Yeah, flank positioning and ward positioning is so vital for Schalke here. G2 actually have some very strong wards in their own jungle. I'd like to see Schalke use this Baron just a little bit more. They've only got about 1,500 gold benefit out of it so far. Haven't taken down a tower. Trick looking for Wunder, who dodges away. Caps on a control ward. IgNar gonna spot him out with that Oracle's alteration down towards the bottom side. Mickey going in. Caps locked up by IgNar. Teleport coming in, and now Caps will be stunned up as well. Keeper's Verdict doesn't connect onto any of the Schalke players. Nor does the Death Grasp on anyone from G2, and Schalke still unable to really break through this tower line.
I wonder if Upset, no, he's just going to try and lifesteal here. They're going in.
Straight onto Wunder, and they jump straight in. Wunder jumps away. Trick going in towards the back line. The Caliphs more locked them up, but they're tanking up the tower. IgNar will take down Mickey. The tower, the next target here for Schalke. Jankos doing a lot of damage to Trick and will make him fall. He pays for it with his life, and Schalke will eventually open up the turret and maybe even get this inhibitor tower out of it.
When I said Schalke could just take the Baron and run down at the G2 base, this is what I was waiting for. They are so strong at this point in the game. G2 do not have a powerful front line. They cannot hold their feet in the ground right now. Schalke knocking down all these towers can easily secure the inhib.
Break down this inhibitor in the bottom lane, and now G2 are going to try and answer. Caps doesn't have the ult, and Upset has a lot of damage behind that Kaisa. 3 completed items. G2 unable to respond. 5,000 gold lead now for Schalke as we get up towards the 27-minute mark in this game.
This is sort of the point in the game where like, my brain is telling me there's no way G2 can win. With this composition, like, there's actually just nothing you can do. I do not see an avenue back into this game for me, but we've seen them do some crazy, crazy things. I
think we give all benefit of the doubt to Schalke right now. They've played exceptionally well. They, after being put behind early on, they have found their way back into this game and now are in commanding fashion of it. And plays like this is what's making it happen.
Yeah, this is just what we were waiting for. IgNar to find the play. It's always IgNar leading, Trick following, it seems like, on this team. Even able to secure the return kill on towards Jankos with the isolated Acathian Rain coming through for all that bonus damage. Now, without the Baron, probably going to be difficult to finish off a siege and make too much of this bottom inhib, but with Baron spawning in minute 15 and that extra 6th man effectively when you don't have a TP on Odoamne to push down in that bottom lane is going to be very effective and going to allow them to take complete control of this topside jungle. And as we said, if G2 can't have, can't deny the vision of Schalke, they can never put Wunder or Caps in a position to pop off.
Yeah, when you're looking for those picks, it's all about making sure the enemy can't see you. Mickey tried to jump onto Trick there. Trick just dodges away with the EQ combo. And I'm pretty sure Vitality will be looking at this game for tomorrow as well and being a little bit concerned. Schalke have looked very strong. They'll take the momentum into tomorrow, of course, if they win this. And Vitality need those wins to make sure they are guaranteed their playoff spot. It's not the easiest after they lost to Misfits earlier today.
I also think it's possible if G2 lose both their games this weekend and Fnatic win tomorrow, Fnatic would actually finish first based on that.
They would. It would be...
Oh, the second half of the season.
They'd have a 1-1 on head-to-head, and then we track who has had more wins in the second half of the season, and G2 would be behind Fnatic on that count.
Could
so
you
Fnatic
imagine?
Would take first. Oh, well, I could imagine. Of course, both teams would be going to Athens in that case anyway. They'd play up against each other in the second week of playoffs, and then again in Athens, probably, or possibly. Caps try to trade here onto Odoamne, jumps back in. Odo's going to put him in the death realm, misses the death grasp though, and it makes it a little bit more difficult. Mickey there waiting for him to come out. Goes golden. Abbedagge trying to trade in here with the Carling, but here comes IgNar from behind, locks up Cap. Abbedagge trading with the PerkZ, flashes away. Abbedagge is now falling. Upset's going to have to jump forward, and Caps is going to go down as well. Alongside that, Mickey will fall, and Schalke once again get a beneficial trade, 2-for-1.
Yep, it's G2 trying to maybe start things off. The TP in from the top lane Kha'Zix, but ultimately Schalke much stronger in these fights. Now with the double Mountain Drake can peel immediately on towards this objective, and with Jankos being called to clear maintenance in the top lane, there's just nothing G2 can do.
Look at how little damage Caps was able to get off in that fight. Abbedagge did a great job of locking him up. Wunder's been knocked back. Good look for the jump across the wall, but IgNar says, okay, I'll have a triumphant roar to take that kill. And now with Baron on 4 members, Schalke should look for the Infernal, maybe even just look to push mid first and then go across towards that dragon.
Yeah, with Abbedagge down and Odo's resetting, it's going to be 1 tower, I think, and then moving in towards the Drake and just fully push out that minion wave. Get a reset across as a team here. Go spend your gold because right now, Upset sitting on about 2,500. He's very close to finishing off his last item of the game. Around that 30-minute mark, he is feeling real strong whenever he leaps forward in these fights. Yeah,
and it's been a day for pop-up performances from AD carries. We saw Kobe and Reckless have an incredible duel earlier on today. Upset once again putting his name in the ring as one of the better AD carries in the league. Of course, does help when the enemy team is picking things like Kha'Zix, not having the best performance in the world, but you still got to take those opportunities when they arise.
I think one of the worst things coming out of this game is people are going to look at us like the Kha'Zix, nah, the Poppy, maybe a troll pick too. I actually think Poppy can be a really good support.
I think Poppy's great.
Yeah, like Mickey's 1 in 5 in this game, but we saw in the laning phase, you can do some really strong things, especially in terms of early all-ins with jungle attention. So it's one of those picks that I hope we see more of, into the likes of the Alistar, the Rakan as well. The experimentation definitely doesn't have to stop here for these teams. We even saw last split, I think, Splice in postseason picking up like the Veigar and the Vel'Koz as bot lane champions for Kabe. So even though you might look at it as like the games get more serious, the teams are still very willing to experiment and pull new stuff out.
And there's seriousness, and then there's playing your style and playing the way you want to play. I mean, G2 showed us just how effective playing things like Pike Top can be. Jankos saved by Odoamne. It's going to put Wunder in the Death Realm. IgNar here to join the party as the teleports come in. Jankos caught up. Banshee's Veil won't save him from the knockup. Abbedagge trying to trade onto Wunder, but he dodges away for the moment. Caps there.
Comes Upset
as well. Keep it burning. Only hits on Odoamne, and Upset already taken down 1. Caps down towards the bottom side is surviving for the moment. Abbedagge trying to trade onto Mickey. IgNar being the bouncer against PerkZ and Jankos, but he will fall. Trick going in. Lands the Cataclysm onto PerkZ, and now Schalke will just look for the hit. Abbedagge going to try and keep Caps around. Upset continues to go in. Jankos goes up and immediately goes down, and now Caps is forced down towards the bottom side of the fight.
And Schalke have all the minions in the mid lane. They still have the Baron buff. They're going to be looking to run it straight down and end the game for G2.
It's all on PerkZ to try and defend, but in a 1v3, my friend, I'm not sure you can do it. Uses the QSS. Upset just takes him out, deletes him off the face of Summoner's Rift, and with that, Schalke will take their 10th win of the split. Great performance from Schalke on the day. They took everything that was given to them. G2 seemed to struggle just a little bit, perhaps. Just weren't quite as invested in their draft as possible. Maybe it would have been better if Caps had taken the Kha'Zix in towards the mid lane. He could have won the game of rock, paper, scissors. But you have to give the credit to Schalke where it's due. They played it very well. They took their advantages, and then they kept pushing that advantage whenever they could.
Yeah, and let's just talk about IgNar on this Alistar. Fantastic stuff out of this player, really driving the early game attention. We knew it was going to be a game about bottom lanes as soon as the Kaisa and the Lucian were locked in. IgNar was able to turn, what was a rough start for Schalke down bottom lane into a lot of kills around the map.
And you talked about it early on, IgNar and Trick. IgNar went 4-1-14, only died right at the end. Trick went 2-2-17, 18 and 19 kill participation respectively. They are the glue that holds this team together. They are the gel, the foundation on which Schalke's strong games are built.
Yeah, and I think this was a game where Schalke had very clear ideas of how to play out this match with their composition up against the scrambled mess that was G2, but ultimately how they were able to attack, especially I want to say between like 5 and 15 minutes is really what impressed me through the coordination of Trick and IgNar, especially to find these long flanks on a PerkZ or a Mickey who were overextending in the bottom lane. It was those moves and that control over the river that really stepped up for me and made it so they could get the win.
Yeah, great stuff all around from Schalke. Just as a note, after this game, Jankos will be joining us in PGL, so I'm very much looking forward to that. It's always a pleasure to hear from the jungler, the Polish jungler on the side of G2. Perhaps won't be too happy with his Elies performance that game, but we'll have to wait and see. If you guys want to get involved at home, Key Player of the Game is the place to be. At lolesports on Twitter. Trick, Upset, and IgNar are your options. That's actually a really difficult one for me.
There's a lot of good options right there. I think supports need some more love.
I agree.
3 is a lot.
As a support main, I agree with that. Although I've actually recently moved into AD carrying in my ranked flex. sorry for anyone who
Stay
gets
away
queued
from
with me.
flex queue, people.
Yeah.
It's bad out there.
It's really bad, especially since I usually play with Ender, and that doesn't end well. But at the end of the day, today, we actually don't have as much decided in the playoff race as I expected us to. I expected, Origin to lock, Vitality to lock, and then tomorrow was a day of for fun games. But
I actually think I went 0 for 5 in predictions today. Literally missed every single prediction.
Did I. No.
It's
I
a
was
disaster.
meant to be the superior analyst, but now we're going to hand it over to Law, who is standing by with Abbedagge.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Abbedagge. Congrats on this one, because you came in today already locked in playoffs. You had to play against G2, so what were your expectations coming today on stage?
We weren't sure how G2 is going to go into this week, because we already saw they were making a tweet whether they should make a 24-hour stream, and we didn't know if they just want to have fun or something, or even if they're just going to try hard. So we were we are just going to give our best and see what happens.
Do you get confused, and do you acknowledge the fact that sometimes they take fans' recommendations for the draft? Like, does it impact your preps, saying maybe they're going to play, I don't know, whatever pick some fan will suggest?
Yeah, I think we have pretty good scouting on them, so we knew that it's probably going to be Kha'Zix top, for example. But in general, it's just, pretty interesting.
Okay. How good does it feel then to win against a team who decided lane assignments based on rock, paper, scissors? Because that's what they did.
It feels kind of depressing that we won because they can just choose whatever they want and still go into the game with thinking they're gonna win.
But they don't get away with it, so.
I mean, at least we got to punish them, so that feels good.
You had a good early game, and usually most of the teams who manage to challenge G2 are good in the early game, but then everything collapses. Well, so what should you be mindful about when playing against G2 and winning the early game?
I think you just need to see that they don't get too much on the plays they make, and that you can actually also punish them if they overextend too much. I think that's most important against them.
What is the hard part of playing against them?
They play the situations very well, so it's hard to see before the fight how good it's going to go for you, and then it might turn out either way, even if you think it's good for you. So it's always a bit volatile. Okay,
tell me about the communication in the mid game, because you took some risky fights, but you managed to turn them around. So who was taking the calls then?
IgNar and Trick, especially IgNar was calling a lot this game and it seemed like he was really tryharding.
Yeah.
So he was doing really well this game.
I read an interview of you recently, and you were saying that the fact that Trick came in the team really helps you overcome the issues you used to have. So can you tell me how he helped you?
He just helped me at every point of the game, basically to also make my own decisions more confidently and basically just help out with that.
You used to be a very shy player, so is it gone now, the shyness?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's because of him, but I've definitely been more shy in the past, but now I'm just kind of overcoming it.
Well, okay. I'm glad that he helped you in this way, and I wish you good luck on the last game you're going to have tomorrow. And to wrap up this day, we're going to send it over to PGL. Take it away, Shucks.